Right. So I just woke up from a nap. I'm still kind of tired, but I wanted to get this out because I don't know. I wanted to get it out. So I look like shit. Doesn't matter to me though. So let's see. It was the Flash season one. That's what I wanted to talk about next. In this whole trying to catch up with my TV show reviews. Um, while Arrow season 3 was going on, there was the Flash season 1, and pretty much the Flash season 1 on the they call it the Arrowverse because Arrow was the first one. Flash was the one that opened up the idea to the supernatural. The Flash was the one that opened up the idea of the supernatural, metahumans, superheroes, the actual superhero. And the Flash season one, from what I remember, now I should preface the Flash season one with something that I should have prefaced Arrow season 1, 2, and 3. I didn't rewatch them and then give my reviews on them. They're strictly from memory, so that's why they seem kind of jagged and kind of off. That's why they are. It's because I'm not rewatching all I'm not watching the seasons over again. I'm going off of memory here. So the Flash season one, it's as simple as it gets. It's the introduction story to the Flash. Basically, he was struck by lightning next to some chemicals. It gave him powers. He's put in a coma for, I think it was 9 months or something like that. And next thing you know, he wakes up super fast. And then it's the whole preface is his mom was murdered, and he's always been. His mom was murdered, but he saw something strange and unique in that it was like a lightning circle just circling around him. It was always a red streak, or let's see, what was it? It was red lightning. He saw a yellow man with red lightning going around, which is obviously the Reverse Flash. So after that, after his mom was killed, he's always been on the hunt for the supernatural or the extraordinary, and his dad was falsely accused, falsely put in jail, and so he became he worked for the, let's see, what is it, police department? What is he? He's a forensic investigator. What does he work for? The CSI, CIA, FBI, the League of Legends, LOL? I don't know, something like that. And so basically, when he wakes up from the coma, he's friends with these people from Star Labs, and they're basically training him to control his speed. And let's see, I forgot exactly how it went, but I remember they basically there was other metahumans, and he felt slightly responsible for some reason because he's always trying to do the right thing. That's just his character. That's how Barry Allen is that he's always trying to do the right thing. And so they start going on this. They're basically taking down criminals. That's just as simple as it gets. Now, with the Flash was like, it was the most episodic thing since the first half of Arrow season 1. Arrow season 1 was so episodic in that it had an overall plot, and it retained elements that were coherent throughout the season, but it was so, they called them Freak of the Weeks, and the reason why is because there were villains that were obviously there's only one episode per week, and so it was that villain for the episode for the week until next week's episode. The Flash was so much like that. Even after this, the mid-season finale on the CW shows is episode 9, with the exception of Legends of Tomorrow. So Flash season 1 and 2 and Arrow seasons 1 through 4, episode 9 has always been the mid-season finale. Episode 9 of the Flash season 1 was the first time we actually really saw the Reverse Flash. Actually, we see him as a character, not like as a streaker when he like zooms around a room and then he like puts something up, and we don't actually see him stand still per se. Episode 9 of season 1 for the Flash was the first time that he was the Freak of the Week, and obviously he's the big bad. He's the main villain of season 1. But the thing is, while he was the main villain of season 1, he didn't appear all that much. And I'm trying to think. It was very late in season 1 when he actually starts making frequent reappearances, or when he comes back, because we find out at the mid-season finale that Harrison Wells is actually the Reverse Flash. And basically episode 1 through 8, it was a different villain because they're trying to showcase all their different villains. Like, let's see, you have Weather Wizard, You have the Rogues, Captain Cold, Heat Wave. I think Golden Glider might have been later. Yeah, other such villains like that. Um, yeah, that's really as simple as it gets. I guess there's no real plot other than just kind of we're kind of investigating Barry's. We're just like investigating his motivations. We're kind of just figuring out what he's about, well, like, what kind of character he is, and that's really as simple as it gets. There's no actual cohesive plot until the mid-season finale, and that he's just trying to get faster. Ever since the Reverse Flash pretty much beat the shit out of him. Yeah, pretty much it's just another. It's just a simple plot, really, and I like the Freak of the Week. The Flash season 1 did it really well, and I like the way they did that because it was really good. It was a really good show. It was a really good season 1 for a show because it showcased a lot of villains, which showcases potential. It has really good develop in progress characters. You know, they're really developed characters, but then we're still developing them, which is amazing. And the villain was good. Obviously, the hero is only as good as the villain. You know, your enemies define you is the saying. The Flash season 1 was amazing. It was a really good season. Let's just talk about some characters. Grant Gustin, he first showed up in the mid season or episode 8 of Arrow season 2. That's when he debuted, and that's when I remember it was originally supposed to be. He was supposed to be like a side character to Arrow. I should say for Arrow to the Green Arrow. He was supposed to be a side character, and then they decided that everyone liked Grant Gustin so much as Barry Allen, but obviously he wasn't the Flash yet. Everyone liked him so much that they decided to greenlight a pilot, and thus greenlighting the show. And then he showed up once again at the end of episode 8, and he was pretty much one of the co-stars for episode 9. And Grant Gustin was amazing because he was this really like dorky Barry Allen, which isn't Barry Allen per se. I mean, it is. Barry Allen's kind of like a sarcastic guy. But he's not like awkward and nerdy and shy. But I put it this way: I like. There's absolutely nothing wrong with Grant Gustin as Barry Allen for me. He's not like comic book Barry Allen, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with straying away from comic book material. There's nothing wrong with that. And that being said, Grant Gustin is amazing as Barry Allen because he has a lot of depth and he's a really good actor. And in particular, obviously there's going to be spoilers because it's hard to do a TV show without spoilers. Let's see, what was it? Episode 23. It was actually the finale of season 1. I was so convinced that he was going to have a great career out of this TV show alone when I saw his ability, his range of acting when he recreated when Barry Allen as an adult now as the Flash. He goes back in time himself. He goes back in time and he holds his dying mother, and I'll never forget that scene. It was just such an emotionally powerful scene. That's when Grant Gustin. I know it's the full season in, but that's when he sold me. I was like, that is good. That's spot on. Yeah, enough about him. Really cool Flash. The only thing kind of bugs me about it's not his fault at all, but it was just about a detail of the Flash was in the very, I think it might have been just the first episode, because when they film pilot episodes, the first episodes of any series, they film it, and then that episode alone gets reviewed, and then if whoever reviews it likes the episode, I think it's just the company or the network, if they like that episode, then they'll greenlight it for a series. You know, that's why, like, if they didn't like the Flash season 1 episode 1, the Flash episode 2 would have never happened. That being said, there's a huge time gap between the filming of episode 1 and the editing of episode 1 and even conceiving episode 2. The Flash in episode 1, he didn't have the lightning, and that kind of bothers me. And honestly, at first I liked the way that he didn't just, there was no lightning effect. I kind of liked that in a way, but then in later episodes and as well as the second season, the lightning has its purpose. It's not just like a looking cool effect. It has its purpose of distinguishing between different speedsters, as well as we find out in season 2 that he can throw lightning, which is really cool. Anyway, yeah, that's just a minor detail of the Flash. Nothing against Grant Gustin. It was editing, obviously. Let's see here. Supporting cast of not Arrow, The Flash. Not just season one, but season two is so goddamn amazing. Let's see here. You have um, what is it? Carlos Valdez, I think it is. I'm gonna look that up before because credit is due to him. Yeah, I looked it up. Carlos Valdez. Cisco. Cisco is such an interestingly developed character. He's so amazing. He steals the show for me every time. Actually, I'd say he comes in second place when it comes to stealing the show. Basically, Carlos Valdez did a really good job of portraying this quirky character and light. He's really meta, and I like that. But he's not. He doesn't like break the fourth wall, Deadpool style. He makes references like Hollywood references of. I think he did. Let's see here. He did. Trying to think. He did Terminator a couple times. He might have done RoboCop, Harry Potter. He makes all these references of like culture, and it's funny, and he has like those really good comedy shticks, and he lands delivery every time, and he's a really good character. On top of that, he fakes being smart, like intelligently smart. He's really good at that. Danielle Panabaker as Caitlin Snow. At first, I didn't like her. I didn't like her because like the show actually describes as to why you're kind of supposed to feel bad for her, but you don't because you just don't like her because she's mopey. She's really mopey at the beginning of the season, and you find out it's because, what was it? Because Robbie Amell's character, Ronnie Raymond, I think it is, basically he is missing after the particle accelerator explosion, and so that was her fiance, and she's kind of moping around because she hasn't got over his death, and or he might be missing or whatever the case is. She hasn't gotten over him, and she's really mopey, and she's almost too serious. And then I think it was Barry and maybe Cisco that like drag her out of the mud, because at first I didn't like her, and then as she kind of grows on you, you find out she has a light side, and she has like this light in her, and especially after she finds Ronnie. Yeah, at first I didn't like her, but now awesome. She's totally okay with me. She's just a lovable character. Danielle Panabaker is lovable. I loved her since I was a kid. I remember she used to be on like a bunch of Disney Channel shows, movies, whatever it was. She's awesome since I was a kid. So then you have let's see. I guess I could talk about Robbie Amell's character, Firestorm. I mean, he didn't have like that big of a role in season one. I kind of wish he did. And in season two, we'll talk about more what happens. In the season two video, we'll talk about what happens a little bit. And I kind of wasn't a fan of the way that they kind of treated his character at the beginning of season two. We'll talk about that, like I said, though. But yeah, in season one, it was really interesting because he was kind of not in his right mind. In season one, he was kind of crazy when we first find him, and I kind of like that aspect about him. And obviously, I don't remember if Victor Garber's character, was it Martin Stein? I think it is Victor Garber's character. I'm just gonna call him Victor Garber because whatever. But yeah, I don't know if Victor Garber's character was fused with him the whole time and they separated them, or if Victor Garber's character was like living separately, and in order to stabilize him, they had to join him and Robbie Amell's character. I don't remember what exactly it was, but then you find out that the two of them make a really good duo. They're kind of not as good as a duo as I don't know the actor's name who plays Jax in season two, as also Firestorm in Legends of Tomorrow. I don't know the actor's name. I'm sorry. I like those two pairing better. Not Robbie Amell and Victor Garber, but Victor Garber and the other Firestorm, the new one. Yeah, enough about him. Victor Garber's always been amazing to me. Not much else. He's arrogant in a way. He's not like an asshole, but he's kind of like he's full of himself in like this really modest way. And I don't know, it's just something lovable about him. And he calls him like Ronald instead of Ronnie, and it's just something lovable about him. I love Victor Garber. I want to say it's Martin Stein, Dr. Martin Stein, because I'm going to talk about him in Legends of Tomorrow. Yeah, just Victor Garber. Love him in The Flash season one. Now I said uh, Cisco, Carlos Valdez's character, plays second to um, stealing the show. And I think that's because I think credit is due to Tom Cavanaugh when it comes to Eobard Thawne. We find out at first that he's Harrison Wells, but then we find out at least at the mid-season finale that he's not just Harrison Wells, or that if he is, then Harrison Wells in the TV universe is the Reverse Flash. And God, does he, Tom Cavanaugh? I've seen him in like I haven't seen Tom Cavanaugh all over the place. I think the most recent the recent movie or any form of entertainment I've seen Tom Cavanaugh in was Yogi Bear, the live action movie, and like that didn't really sell me on Tom Cavanaugh. But then this show, I was sold. Oh my God, Tom stole the show. I think everyone loved Tom Cavanaugh. Like the Flash season one, it was kind of like the Dark Knight almost. When Christian Bale didn't steal the show, it was Heath Ledger. Everyone loved the Joker. I think for the Flash, the fans of this show specifically were stolen by Tom Cavanaugh's performance as Eobard Thawne as the Reverse Flash, and just rightfully so. He totally deserves to have the fan base for this show that he does. They were smart to bring back Tom Cavanaugh for season two in the way that they did. They were very smart for that. They changed his character, but he's obviously it's the same guy. We'll talk about all this stuff season two video, but yeah, his version of Harrison Wells not as psychopathic. He's obviously like he's insane. He wants to go home and he's crazy. He will kill and do whatever it takes to go home to his future time. But he's not crazy, if that makes sense. He's like he has a goal. He's just a little twisted, okay? Just God, every time he was in a scene, he stole the show, and there's not much more I can say about him. He stole the show every time. Tom Cavanaugh, I tip my hat to you, sir. Other than that, we got some other characters talk about. Oh God, I feel bad. Whoever Joe West, I can't think of who plays him. I gotta look it up. I feel terrible. Jesse L. Martin. I knew it was on the tip of my tongue. I couldn't think of it. Jesse L. Martin. Jesse Martin. I'm gonna call him. He's a really good father figure, and he plays that character really well. And he doesn't steal the show, but man, he steals your heart. You can't help but wish that Joe West is your dad. You can't help with the way that Jesse Martin portrays him. You kind of want Joe West to be your dad. That's just how it is every single time. Yeah, yeah. Please, can you be my dad, please? I like you. I like you. You're really cool, and you're a cop, so you're cool. Like in that way too. Please, I'm back. Come on, man. Eddie Thawne. We all thought that because of the blonde look, that Eddie Thawne was actually going to end up being Eobard Thawne. Turns out he wasn't. Turns out he was the ancestor. Did I just say ancestor? I meant ancestor. Fuck. The ancestor to Eobard Thawne, which is obviously Harrison Wells, Tom Cavanaugh. Eddie, he kind of acts like as a romantic rival for Barry. That's why I left Iris for last. I intentionally left her for last for a good reason. But yeah, Eddie, really all he is, I don't like saying it, he's partners with Joe, and he's a romantic rival for Barry because they're kind of like faking you out. They're trying to set you up thinking that Barry and Eddie are going to end up being enemies, because we all thought that there was going to be a surprise twist that Eddie was the Reverse Flash from the future. He just changed it from Eobard to Eddie. That wasn't the case, obviously, but really Eddie was just there for kind of like I don't like saying it. I liked his character because everyone liked Eddie. I feel like, in my opinion, that Eddie was just a filler. And I know that sounds bad because the actor who played him, he did a good job. I mean, I can't say that Eddie was like a show stealing character, because to me he was just filler. But for the role that the show needed him to be, he filled that really well. And that being said, he didn't like wow me over with anything. except for at the very end when he killed himself to save Barry. That was like, okay, they need to get more of him, and they don't. What are you gonna do? I don't know if like the rest of the fan base shares my opinion on Eddie, but just really that one moment with him at the finale was kind of that was really it for me. And other than that, like he was a good character, he was an okay character. It's just that's really it. He was kind of okay. Eddie Thawne, yeah, cool. Okay, so now I told you that I left Iris for last. She's obviously one of the most important characters on the Flash, because when people think Iris West, they think Barry Allen's wife. That's just how it is. And Iris West, I was trying to think of something like else to say. I paused really weirdly, but yeah, just Iris West, just Barry Allen's wife in the comics. That's just how it is. Candace Patton. She did an amazing performance, amazing dramatic chops. She had her quirky moments too, if I remember correctly. Just amazing overall. But again, she didn't like really steal the show with anything. But that being said, she's a step up from Eddie's kind of just like filler, because she did amazing in my opinion. She was amazing in what she did. Really good dramatic chops. Candace Patton had. But this kind of sealed the deal for me. In that I watched, obviously I watched Arrow, and I've watched The Flash, and I've also seen The Flash season 2, and that is that Iris West is the prime example to me that sells me on the fact that the CW just they love to overcomplicate things, and that sounds bad. Because a whole season long, I mentioned it, Eddie Thawne was the romantic rival to Barry, because Eddie and Iris end up together, obviously up until Eddie shoots himself, but yeah, just the CW loves to overcomplicate relationships. They love to make this dramatic mess, and it's good for a while, and it was a really good plot, like back when it first came out. But I feel like they're trying a little too hard to appeal to other fan bases. That's just me. That's beating around the bush. I feel like they're trying too hard to appeal to like Tumblr fans and like for some reason like oversensitive like preppy girls. And this sounds harsh and it sounds unforgiving, but I think that they're okay. The Tumblr girls and the over preppy girls, they're okay with the show as it is. But I feel like they're overcomplicating it just to like try too hard to appeal to them. And nothing wrong with that. But I just think that some of the plot devices that Iris was used for, they just got too sloppy, and they're just. We've seen it a million times, and we've seen this romantic like back and forth. The whole season, Barry is chasing after Iris, and he's so like in love with her, and he has to go to Joe about it. Obviously, Joe's the dad of Iris. It's a lot of it's filler, and it's a good filler because obviously it makes for interesting television, but we've seen it a million times before, and this actually goes along with my topic for Arrow season 4. But just that's just the CW. That's just their brand. When they brand the show, they have to put like some over complicated, this convoluted love dramatic scheme. And while it can be good, I feel like the Flash played it a little too cliched. I wasn't a fan of just this what's the word I'm looking for here. I can't think of it. It's basically just this web. It's just this messy cobweb. It's not like this beautiful artwork web of romantic ties and romantic plot lines, where one strand leads to this and the other strand leads like, it's neat. It's like when you walk in an attic and it's just a messy cobweb of just dramatic, just here romance. There you go. And it's messy romance. I've seen it a million times before. I'm not a fan of the romance in season 1 of The Flash. Season 2 is a little bit better, but season 1 was just we've seen it a million times, and obviously, like Iris knows that something's wrong with Barry. Because in the mid-season finale, episode 9, the first episode, we see the Reverse Flash. Uh, let's see here. Where was I going with that? Yeah, in episode 9, that's when Barry first tells Iris that, like, dude, I've been in love with you since pretty much we were kids, almost, yeah, quote unquote. Okay. Um, Up until episode 9, episodes 1 through 9, Iris has known that something was like bothering Barry, but obviously Iris didn't know that she was the one bothering him because she was with Eddie. And I've seen that a million times where obviously you knew something was bothering him, but she didn't, like, she was so clueless as to not know that, like, okay, he might like me. I don't know. I was not a fan of the romance in season 1 of The Flash. I never cared for it. It was way overcomplicated to the point where I don't even remember what the romance was like in the second half of the season. I remember the one time Barry ran back in time. The first time that Barry time traveled in season 1, he revealed himself as the Flash to Iris, and I think if that timeline had stuck, sorry, I hit the mic. I feel like if that timeline had stuck, that Barry would or Iris would have been like, okay, I have a superhero crush on the Flash, and now that I know it's Barry, it's destiny. We're gonna be together. But obviously, he ran back in time and he changed the timeline because he knew it was gonna happen, and that's where then we're back to this whole like Iris Eddie thing, and Barry's like, I can't tell Iris that I'm the Flash again, and just overcomplicated stuff. I wasn't a big fan of it. Is all I'm trying to say. Other than that, though, I liked The Flash season 1. It was a really good show, and all these like romantic things, they didn't bother me at all. I was not turned off from the show at all by the romantic shit. I just kind of like I blew right past it. I didn't let it bother me. If I let it bother me, then I would have just hated this show because it's falling victim to the CW. It's just how the CW is. And I've never watched Smallville, but I've seen enough clips of Smallville to know that Smallville, like season 8, like I think that was when the show like was already like batshit crazy, where Clark he was with some random girl that like no one knows from the comics. I don't know what the case was, but that's I think it was something like that, and I think that's when after watching The Flash and after seeing those clips of Smallville, I was like, yep, that's the CW. That's their way of doing things. It's just overcomplicated love stories where Clark and Lois don't end up until season 10, the very last thing. That's just the CW stamp. So, but I guess that's just that's just what you're in for. If you're gonna be a fan of a CW show, let alone a superhero show, that's just you kind of just have to go through the emotional roller coaster, the love triangles, all that shit. But I will go through that happily for The Flash season 1. It was amazing to me. The villain, Eobard Thawne, Reverse Flash, I liked him because he had depth. He had a purpose. Like, we didn't know what he wanted until very late in the season, and he did a really good job of of masking his true personality, like his insane side of him. But the villain was good. The acting was amazing. They did an amazing job casting everyone for their roles. It just overall good first season for the show. I'm saying good, but I really mean like it was amazing. It was excellent. It was enough to harbor a pretty good second season. It was enough to harbor like people from Arrow who are starting to lose faith by the time season 3 is done and season 1 of The Flash is done. People are like, okay, The Flash season 1 was better. I'm going to start moving from Arrow to The Flash. That's how good it was. It was powerful. Love triangles. I mean, I'm not going to have the romantic part of The Flash dock any points because that's just from here on out. The CW, I see this now, is just going to have the romantic love triangles. That's just how it's going to be. And even when they do get the girl, shit's always complicated. I'm not gonna let that dock my points. The only thing, what did I say earlier? Wasn't there one negative thing I said? No, probably not. If I'll rewatch it and probably record after this. But if I think of it, I'll say it on camera, and you'll see it like right now ish. Nope, I got nothing. The only thing I can think of is the overused love story. That's all I got. With that being said, I don't know. The Flash. I'm beating a dead horse here. I loved it. It was amazing. It was enough to create its own fan base. That was probably larger than Arrow's at the point of season three. With that being said, I don't know. Just I'd say probably a 9 out of 10. I'm kind of guessing. I don't know how I feel overall and definitively about the whole love story thing. It was good enough to where it warrants at least a 9 out of 10 in my opinion, but just I'm not sure where I sit as a whole. I can't really think of any negatives off the top of my head. There might have been some filler episodes, but I mean, it's 23 episodes long. We have to reconsider that. So possibly some filler, the love story thing. So I'll stick to a 9 out of 10 um, on the show overall. But just season two definitely did some really good things for the Flash from season one, and also had some negative things. I'll talk about that in the season two video. What I'll do next is Arrow season four. Then I'll do the Flash season two, and then I'm gonna get to Legends of Tomorrow, the first season. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm really excited to rant. I love it. I love ranting.